Good evening. This is a meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals. The time is 7 p.m. and the date is April 8, 2014. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates. The alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are members Ms. Betty Holla, Ms. Kate Housley, Ms. Joan Kranansky, and Ms. Lisa Carson. Alternates are Mr. Ed Baum and Ellen Salto. I am John Goldsey, the chair. Also present is Secretary Mr. Paul Eschenbacher. The board operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding summary or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code, Section 230703B, the board has the power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare is secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code Section 230710C, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board finds, based on direct, specific findings of fact, that each of the following conditions has been supported: practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property for which variance is sought, one or the other, or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent of a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for each condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens aggrieved by a decision of the board may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the board to the applicant. There is only one case on tonight's agenda. The case is 14-03V in Lot 32, partial West Washington Street, and Cranberry Row LLC is the appellant. The board is required to take testimony under oath. Would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda please stand? Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will be presenting to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Be seated, please. Appellant is requesting variances from ACC 23-1001 Table A, a schedule of bulk controls, to allow a 6-unit apartment building with lot coverage of 48%, where 40% is the maximum allowed, total lot coverage of 100%, where 60% is the maximum allowed, a front setback of 1 foot, where 25 feet is the minimum required, a right side setback of 0 feet, where 8 feet is the minimum required, a rear setback of 0 feet, where 40 feet is the minimum required, a lot size of 3,900 square feet, where 7,500 square feet for 6 residential units is the minimum required. Mr. Reichenbacher, would you like to brief us on the specific of the lot of the property?
I don't have much to add. The appellant wants to build a 6-unit, or to renovate that building into a 6-unit apartment building. Part of the parking would be on-site, and part of it would be taken up by the parking lots to the immediate north of the building in question. The appellant owns those, and the rule of being within 250 feet, so he doesn't need a variance for parking. The only thing I'd have to add is to remind the board that the building, even if the variance is passed, the building would be accessed through alleys in either way. And Mr. McMillan had mentioned something about the possibility of building a right-of-way or a throughway through the parking lot, but even that would empty out to the alley on the north. And that's all I have to say, unless you have questions.
Any questions for Mr. Reichenbacher?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So, I guess it has to do with, it's a 2-story building, and as you approach it from the alleyway from South Congress Street, that would be the first floor, and then as you went down beyond it, and it appears to be then 2 stories. So I'm just trying to get a sense of, when it comes to height, how tall this building's going to be, and where is the measurement beginning for the 45 feet or 3.5 stories?
Well, you can ask Mr. Millen that. I'm not that familiar with the specific plans of it, other than what he's passed out to you guys. They've been discussing whether that bottom floor that faces the parking lot, the one with the garage door, whether that would be considered a basement or not.
Right. So
But I
guess
do know he wants to add one more story to the building. So, from the measurements that he gave on the print, it meets the R3 maximum height standard, or I mean, it's below the maximum height standard. So,
it's below 45 feet
yes,
at ground level, right?
yeah.
And so ground level would be this.
I assume it would be the side with the garage door.
Okay.
That would be the lowest side.
I have a quick site question. I know they want to build a new building, but if they were going to somehow fit the 6 unit or whatever number of unit within the building which is now exists, do they still have to come to get a variance for this, all the setbacks?
No, if you would approve this variance tonight, all Mr. McMillan would have to do is to make sure that the final plans he submits to us meet what the variance says. So in other words, it's 1 foot from the right and however far, and meets all the maximum lot coverage and so forth. So he doesn't have to have a specific plan in place right now.
Okay.
It's just 6 units, and then, I'm sure you could probably ask how many tenants he intends and stuff, but there really isn't any practical reason for him to have a specific detailed plan until he knows he's getting the variance. It'll have to go through a Title
Right.
41 review.
Right.
So,
Okay, now I'm confused. Are you renovating an existing building or a
No.
brand-new building? You say a new building.
Well, I said if, just,
Okay.
if there was
The-
a
but this-
renovation of the existing building,
Isn't that what we're talking about?
That's
no.
renovation.
what it says on here.
It's a renovation, right?
We'll ask Mr. McMillan.
Proposed
when he
renovated
comes before
building.
us.
Okay.
Renovated.
Let's have the appellant, yes. Please state your name and your address for the records.
I'm Alan McMillan. I live at 209 East State Street. And my wife and I together own Cranberry Row LLC. There's no other people involved.
Okay, what is your plan for this property?
Well, let me give you a little context of how I got here and what we're asking for tonight. And unfortunately, John Valentor, who's been working with us, is not here, and John Padsky, who we've been right away we approached code to make sure we were, doing things by the code and the spirit of what we're trying to develop here. The building came available, and what happened, people found as they started to take a look at it, that we own about a little over 15 feet in front of the building. So one of the things that it didn't look clear on that map, although you may have this in supporting material, I can pass this out if you want me to pass it around. It shows, this is off the auditor's site, that we own 15 feet approximately in front of the building. So like the front of what we believe is a basement that points towards Congress. I mean, court. Okay. So there's that issue. The second thing is you need parking to do something with it, and our parking is 1 inch away. It's completely adjacent. So, and we have enough available parking to do what we're going to talk about. So, and I would like to add, we've tried, we've been in this for nearly 7 years, and we've tried to be known as a company that plays within the rules and tries to make our properties better. And this will be our first shot, my wife and I, on development, to go ahead and go in and start for something that's really empty right now and build it. So we take this very seriously, and this is going to be a statement of how we run our company. And so we want to do a real quality job. So what happens is we forwarded the information to John Padsky, Valentor, but he said the basement is, by the legal definition, state of Ohio, it's a basement, and that more than 50% of it is below grade. And in fact, that's one of the reasons you don't put apartments on the first floor, with a basement, because you don't have windows. So we're going to use that for parking. And so then, but that has been, I thought this would be here tonight, but we furnished the legal definition of the basement. We did not have objections to that. And then everything else is consistent. So with what you've talked about here.
Well, before I came here, I walked on the Washington Street.
Yeah.
And I said the Frontier sign over there.
Yep.
It was the building with the bricks, with the brownish brick. Is that the building we are talking about?
No, it's if you were at the I think it's the Court Street Diner, the Silver Diner on Court Street, and you look across the parking lot with the meters,
Okay.
okay, and you go right to the back. It's a little off to the left, but it's exactly behind it.
Oh, okay.
And if you take a look at these pictures, and one of the things is right now, I mean, I don't want to be exaggerating, so I'll let the picture speak, but right now it's a blighted building. There's graffiti on it, and consistently been graffiti on it. It's empty, and it's and you see the windows, I don't know when that happened because I don't know how long ago General Telephone was operating in this area. It was before my time, but it was General Telephone, and then it was Verizon, and now it's Frontier. So they closed up all of this, and we want to bring the building back. And we want to add to it because of to make it the project economically viable, we need to add to it. So if I could go into, I do not have exact plans because we've sinking a bunch of money into it at this point just to get this far. But our plan is to do 2 3-bedroom apartments on each of those floors. So if you take a look at your elevation, you'd enter into the basement and there'd be 6 parking spaces. And then if you go the alley that goes up to Congress Street, because it goes up grade, that balcony over the out in the front, you'll walk across there and enter the building in the center above the door. That's as far out as we've thought through. There'll be 2 3-bedroom apartments on each floor, so it'd be a total of 18 bed spaces over the project. And one of the things we tried to do, we realized that to keep the city green, we're into that. I lived in a carriage house in the Back Bay in Boston, and what I did was I drilled into the macadam and dug down, and we planted ivy, and it flourished. It was beautiful. So we want all the brick covered with ivy. We want window boxes, and we're proposing maybe putting a couple of trees, and we just had to find something that works. But there's not a lot of property there. It really takes up the whole property.
And the size of each unit appears to be about half, on average, half the size required by code. Am I interpreting that properly?
No, there's a section of the code where you have to have a certain amount of square footage of land per unit. For this project with 6 units, they would need 7,500 square feet in an R3 zone, and they only have 3,900. That's the reason for that variance. There's just the idea that they think they don't want to get things too mushed together, too crowded by having too small of land space for a large number of units. So that's what that part of the variance is referring to.
Do I take it, Mr. McMillan, that you want to use the existing footprint of the building and build up?
That's exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
And we would say where you see the windows, covered up, the windows will be restored. John Patsky also asked me, could we keep the city dumpster there because it's needed for uptown, and we'll be team players. We said we deal with that, and the dumpster, if you take a look, would be on the second page of the big sheets. And it would be right under the walkway. But that's where it is now. So like restaurants on, Court Street and, different places, I guess it's a community dumpster. And they're strategically located uptown. And if there's a better place where we'd love it to be, but, we're going to try to get along with everybody.
So would that still provide sufficient dumpster space for the units?
Yeah, I asked him if we allowed to put, we allowed to dump our trash there from the building. He said yes. But the thing is, what we've traditionally done, the property next door, we have a series of roll up like you have at your house up to Congress, and we have them there for the tenants. We ask the tenants to take it out, but because they share, we find it's difficult sometimes to enforce that. So we go by every Sunday night, and if they're not up, we take them up, and we go by on Monday and we take them down. And if we have to do that, we're at the site anyway, so we're willing to do that.
Well, one of the things that concerned me about the site was you do own the property that would be directly adjacent to it, facing South Congress Street, right?
Facing,
Congress.
no, we own the property. If you take a look at your first large sheet here, if you take a look at the all the parking spaces, like if you're looking at it from the bottom up above the purple, we own all that parking.
Okay, but the building, do you own this existing building just adjacent to the property you want to develop?
No. You're
I thought
talking
that was
about,
also-
can I just clarify to make sure I'm
Yes.
answering right?
Yes.
Is it this one you're asking?
That is correct.
No, we own these two and all of this parking.
Okay.
And then 15 feet in front of this.
Right.
And it's, and it makes it difficult for the building to migrate beyond what it is right now. We seem to have, that's why people came to us and said, there are people who know how to find this stuff better than we do, and there was a whole bunch of people looked at it, and then they realized there were difficulties in developing it, and then here we had the land in front of it, and we had the adjacent parking next to it.
Well, no, my issue is with this building that's adjacent to it that faces South Congress, is that building goes up 2 more stories.
Mm-hmm.
The distance between those balconies and your building is going to be minimal. In fact, they're going to be looking right into your building.
Actually, we're not going to put windows on that side. And in fact, apparently...
Not into at. Okay, I'll take it back.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's no view then. You're just like...
Well, yeah, that's true, okay?
So we talk about light and health and safety, and I just...
Right. Well, one of the things that we are prepared for
Right.
is that, the future is a big place, so you can't predict everything. But I would be surprised if in my lifetime that that property in front of it that goes to Court Street isn't developed. I mean, it's the most developable piece of land uptown, and it's got parking meters on it right now. So one of the things we had to weigh, if we make this investment, how about if then all of a sudden there's 4 stories in front of us? So we'd be in the exact same position. And we say, kind of goes with the territory. It's dense urban living, and that's, and again, I've got experience in living in environments like this, and I know, like in London, I would go for walks in my neighborhood, and there'd be beautiful buildings in the alleys, and it's just, they migrated over time.
Yeah, well, there's some new development in Columbus that's doing the same thing, but they're developed with that in mind, and things are staggered so that people have a certain sense of private space.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that, but I just had just looking at the closeness of those back balconies, and I'm sure they're there to provide for the residents of that building.
Is
And-
that a I'm sorry, what is this? Is this a
It's an apartment.
It's an apartment building.
And part of the building closest to the purple is balconies. It's not denoted in there, but it's balconies.
Any
And-
other questions for Mr. McMillan?
Well, is the owner of that property familiar with your plans?
I don't know.
He was sent notification of the case.
Are there concerns with fire equipment access?
Well, that would be reviewed partially in the Title 41 review, the access of emergency equipment. So, but looking at it, as he says, there's open space to the north of the building, to the east of the building because of the right-of-way that Mr. McMillan owns. And even though it is narrow, there is an alleyway in front of the building. So, in theory, emergency equipment could probably get to 3 sides of this proposed building. But the fire chief, the fire department will review, and if they have problems, they will.
I'm still confused, because according to the map that was included in our documents, the building that is directly to the west of your property is Cranberry Road,
It does say
LLC.
that, yeah.
There's
No.
apparently an error
Yeah.
at the auditor's office.
Oh, error in the
I don't know
audit.
I was
Aha.
wondering about that because
Yeah.
it looked from this, like you guys
Right.
own this and this.
So that's an error.
Yeah, that Kleinman's own that. Klein Penny Rentals.
I'll make a general comment. This is another one of those examples when you take a 150-year-old city and impose a zoning code on it. Not everything fits. Because I was calculating when I came in, someone saw me marching back and forth. If you were to abide by the strict limits of the zoning code as it exists, you could build a building on there 1/3 the size of this room.
Right.
That's it. And it just doesn't fit. And I think one of the things you have to take into account, especially in Section B of the code, is that one of the questions is the narrowness of the property might make a good reason for mitigation. It's one of those things, if we rebuilt Athens all over again, we wouldn't put it the way it is now.
And the other thing, the division between the different zoning, you know, the B2D and the R3 and stuff, usually that's divided by a street. And in this case, it's not. You know, and you guys are more expert on where there's something in your package that shows kind of a jagged line about how this was designed. So I'm not sure when all this happened. You know, predates.
Any other questions for Mr. McMillan?
Well, I'm back to the trash situation because, we've had a lot of issues with this because people build additional parking and then they don't have room for trash containers and so just to be clear, you're going to allow the city to maintain that dumpster that's sitting there, and then
If there was an objection to us using it, because I felt it was like a bird's nest on the ground. If they're gonna, the city, I was told the city needs it, okay, and so I guess it's hard to find a place for it. So I said I can live with that. That could be an extra parking space for us, but I say, well, if they need it, I'll play ball. Now, if you said, well, we'd like to be assured that there's trash without that, I'll put trash in the garage. Be glad to do that.
so how many parking places will be in the basement level?
There'll be right now 6 inside,
Okay.
then 2 outside,
Great.
and then we have ample parking with the property next door.
The adjacent lot.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You may be seated. We may call you again if you have any questions.
Cool.
Any
Thank
discussions
you.
on the board?
I understand that this building exists as it is and it can't very well be changed except for going up. And I understand that it is in an R3 zone. On the other hand, that whole area is basically, well, not that whole area. Across the street to the east, it is adjacent to a commercial zone. And I guess I have some real problems with the size of this lot for the number of people who are going to occupy it, with ivy being their preferred green space. And I understand that there isn't much space for greenery. So that's a concern of mine. And I guess I'm concerned essentially that we basically have very little downtown left. We simply are creating, and again, of necessity, I understand that, a sort of a dormitory for students. So there's no reason to go uptown for anyone. Why would you go? Except, I don't know, to the movies. I go to the movies. I'm also concerned about the access through the alley, and I would like you to clarify that this wider thing that's just beside it, this right-of-way, is that going to be the access?
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll come right off of our parking lot.
Okay.
So what I can't assure,
Yeah, sure.
what I can't speak is the intentions or the future intentions of the parking lot between that alley that we're on and Court Street. So feasibly one day that could be a building, okay?
Right.
But what I can assure you is there's ample way for us to go ahead and come, and we're going to grant an easement to ourselves,
Okay.
okay? That you would then be able to go out through our parking lot and then onto the alley that is at the far north side of our parking lot.
So you're going to come in off of West Union, West Washington, go down this right-of-way.
No.
No.
I think the easiest way is to come in the alleyway.
Which
Well,
one?
the one you
Down
could do
here.
that.
Okay,
I
you
mean,
got two alleyways here.
Yeah.
The one that's to the south, one that's to
Right,
the north,
right.
and we've got a right-of-way here. So how are you going to get in and out? Which alleyway?
You would
Which
go in the
way?
alleyway to the north,
Okay.
through our parking lot,
Okay.
across our land, which is about 15 and a half feet wide, and then into the building, into the garage.
Okay, so the garage would be entered from the north side of the building. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then, this right-of-way, what's its purpose going to be for you? Excuse me.
Well, part of that, I mean, we only have 15 feet, and it's wider than that, so
Okay.
there's traffic that goes in that, alley, because there's other spaces behind some of the establishments on Court Street. So, I mean, people use that, and I'm just talking about we have enough space that we own and control, that we can grant an easement and make sure there's proper access till the end of time to get into the building.
Okay, but that will not be the preferred access to the parking lot.
There's an alley there.
You're going to come into the alley that's at the very north, right? And
Yeah, I
then
mean, you
through
could
the
go either way. I mean, because people are using this alley now, so if you wanted to come down there, it's a narrower alley.
Okay,
It's a little steeper.
okay.
I'm concerned about that in the winter,
All right,
but then you
okay.
go in and then you take a left, so yes, you can
Okay.
come in either way.
Okay,
I know there's not a lot of room between those two buildings.
Right.
When you come off Court Street, they've actually even got metal bumpers, if you will.
yeah.
And so, but I can't, all I can control, we have enough land to control this, access to this.
Let me confirm what I think I see on the drawing, that the entrance to the garage is actually on the east side of the building, not the north side of the building.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's where you can
So-
see in the photographs
Okay,
on
so
page
you would
2.
have to use the right-of-way
Yeah, I'm coming
to
on
come in
right away.
right here.
Oh, I see.
So you would come all the way down here, down
yeah,
into
yeah.
the right-of-way. Okay. So we have a very narrow lot with virtually no green space and more people than I would prefer to see, but, okay, I understand the ramifications of that. And we also have a sort of a traffic-y area, so we have traffic going up and down beside this building. Okay,
But can I add to that, please?
sure.
I think from a practical matter, that some people will go through the parking lot in front of it for now. I'm just saying, but I can't, because that's, and if you watch people exiting our lower parking lot there, sometimes they come in through that parking lot, and in fact, some people leave that parking lot and come through our
All right.
area as well. So they seem to get along fine. I don't think there's going to be a lot of additional traffic. We're talking about, right now, I can put 3 parking spaces along the side of the building if I chose to, without doing anything, because we have
So-
15 feet.
Can you tell me where the 2 parking spaces are that would be outside and not
Here.
in the parking lot?
Look at this picture.
It's on
Okay.
page 2 of the 11 by
Okay.
17.
I see, okay, you've got, here's the dumpster. So you have 2 parking spaces, here's one, okay, I see. Okay,
And conceivably, I mean, here's the thing, what we want to do is, the intention that we have right now is if you grant us the variance that we can go forward, John Valentor and I are going to sit down with code,
sure.
and we're going to do Title 41, and we're going to do what we do. Now, there's a possibility, could we fit a tree or something in some of the, like let's say the back of that parking space on the northernmost side, you could probably do that. You probably put like a metal cage around like they do in the city, so the car doesn't bump into it.
Right.
But the fact is, could we do something? And what we want to do is we want to sit down and figure out how we can do this in the best possible way.
Right.
But I can tell you, the view will be tremendously enhanced, and I think it'd be lovely when we get done.
The sketch also indicates a couple of trees or bushes on the front of the building.
Yeah,
Is that what you intend to do?
that's exactly what we intend to do, because that's open space. You're gonna be getting into that by going across that walkway over to the front of the building. So that right now, where that's actually a garage door going into the upper section, we will go ahead and put trees in.
Okay.
Next to the utility poles? Are those utility poles going to be moved? Are they?
Well, they'd have to be for us. That's another hurdle we have to go through. And so we're told by other people that are doing this that is, we've worked with AEP before on different projects, and they've been good business with. But if they didn't, if there was a reason where they wouldn't move them, but I don't think they can. But we'd have to cross that bridge when we come to it. So there's a lot of work we have to do before we can do this. This is kind of the first step was getting this far and drawn up, and the economic viability and the ability to purchase it. The second step, I'm before you tonight. The next step is we will be meeting with AEP, the Title 41, but we'll get more specific plans, and we'll do that. We pledge to do that in collaboration with Code.
So do you know the distance between the back balconies of the Klein Penny building adjacent and the wall of your building?
I mean, the proposed wall, if
Right.
we go up, I'd say it's probably around, I don't, do I venture a guess? I don't know.
I didn't take them measuring with me, and then I didn't know which way you were going exactly because we didn't have the plans then, but
So I think it's like, I'd say 5 or 6 feet.
yeah, I could maybe go like this.
Yeah, yeah.
So between
Yeah.
the edge of their balcony and the proposed wall of your building is going to be about this
Maybe a
wall.
little larger than that, but you're right. And also, there will be as much openness they have now to the north and south, which is off to the sides of those balconies. Like.
Oh, right, yeah, well that's not,
And
obviously
I don't
it's
know.
open both to the north
Yeah.
and the south
And
at this point.
yeah, and I don't know when those balconies were actually installed there. I don't know.
They just seem to be well maintained, so it's hard to say. I don't know either.
Okay.
We pledge to maintain it well too.
All right. Thank you. Is everyone clear on the layout of this thing? Or do you have any questions anymore? Everybody's clear, right? Okay.
I have a question about some of these other, I've walked back there and you're right, it's dense urban living, especially these here, they're built up pretty high, that string of apartments. And I just wondered, were those granted similar types of variances?
Which buildings?
Like along here, they go down, those, if you walk along
If you're looking at the one in the middle,
these right
yeah, I saw no record of variances for it, but those
here,
were
they
built.
go up pretty high.
Yeah,
It's pretty
but
packed.
in R3, what's the height?
45,
It's a lot.
3.5
Yeah,
for an apartment
35
building.
feet, 2.5 stories, so. Yeah, those were just built there.
Right, I just noticed they're built
Yeah.
up quite high, yeah, so.
Any discussions before someone makes a motion?
Well, I do have a question, maybe, and it has to do with something that was brought up before. And it says that, and this goes for future things, but because I reread the new sheet that you did, not that I haven't read it before, but right above the next to the last paragraph on the first page, according to Athens City Code, et cetera, variances from the code should not be granted unless the board finds, based on direct specific findings of fact, that each of the following conditions have been supported.
Yes.
And so if we have one finding, and it's not just this case, but overall,
That question has come up before, and this is one of the questions we want to make sure we ask the law director. But I was told previously that if the board, all of us cannot find one condition that satisfies, then we have to vote no.
Okay.
You mean we can choose one of 6 and that will do it?
Let's say all of us, all 6 or 5 of us, disagree on practical difficulty and undue hardship. So that one finding does not satisfy. So then, according
So
to what
then
I
you'd
was
have-
told before,
Then you'd
and
have to
this,
say no?
we have to say no.
So if there's one finding that we say no to, then the whole thing's over.
Well, if 4 of us say no, to that one
Right.
finding, and one says yes, that is not a
But
unanimous.
we never,
Yeah,
we
we have
never
never-
numbered it like
No.
that. And
No, we haven't.
people don't speak up about what they're
And that is-
thinking. So,
Number one
Greg
question.
brought this up a couple of years ago
Right.
also, and I'd kind of forgotten about it, but when I read this over,
Right.
and so I'm bringing this question forward
Yeah.
at this point.
Right.
Okay,
We'll discuss it next month.
okay.
So for
By
today,
the way, we
we'll
have
just
been
do the,
voting. Okay. Any other? That was a good question, by the way. But I remember we had a training about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and that was mentioned to us.
For those of us who weren't here, we look forward to that retraining.
yes.
very useful. Are you waiting for a
I'm waiting for a motion.
Okay, here you go. I move that we grant variances to the property at Lot 32, partial West Washington Street, from ACC 23.10.101, Table A, Schedule of Bulk Controls, to allow a 6-unit apartment building with lot coverage of 48%, where 40% is the maximum allowed, total lot coverage of 100%, where 60% is the maximum allowed, a front setback of 1 foot, where 25 feet is the minimum required, a right side setback of 0 feet, where 8 feet is the minimum required, a rear setback of 0 feet, where 40 feet is the minimum required, a lot size of 3,900 square feet, where 7,500 square feet, for 6 residential units is the minimum required.
Second.
I second.
Okay, let's go through the findings. Just through the discussion. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Now, is there, because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations, according to the code, will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship, which is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes.
Well, I think we can say that there are some exceptional circumstances. This is a building that exists. It is in an R3 zone, which we would now, maybe I would wish that it were not. It is on a narrow little lot, and it is pretty much landlocked and surrounded, all of which create some circumstances that we could consider.
Any other comments?
I agree.
Exceptional. So I guess that will cover what you just
I
mentioned.
know, they're weird.
Preservation of equal property rights. Are we conveying more privilege to this property than the adjacent properties?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay. So granting is not going to confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to the other properties in the same zone and vicinity.
No.
No.
Is this a minimum variance?
Well, there are 6 variances requested.
Well, the way I look at the properties, maybe it requires maybe 10 variances to make a feasible or reasonable use of the property. So if that's the case, then I would consider minimal. So I don't count by the number of variances.
Well,
What is the minimum required so that we can use the property?
Well, if you looked at it that way, we would always have to give variances, because you could say, well, we have to give these variances to make a reasonable use of the property. There
No.
are plenty of times when we say, n- it's not a reasonable use.
Well,
For
I'll give
what-
you an
no,
example.
I'm not, okay,
Sure.
give me
I'll
the
give you an
example, and then
Let's say,
I'll be quiet.
one property, one owner, one appellant is requesting for maybe 1 or 2 door garage, and that's reasonable, and they may require a variance. But what if they want 4 door garage? That would be excessive. So then we would say minimum is not minimum.
No, I don't, I think we're talking about two different things here.
Okay.
We're talking about two different things. So, yeah, one is still relatively inconsequential. This is, I'm not saying that these are not necessary variances, or that I think we shouldn't perhaps grant them. I'm simply saying that if you have to have side setback, lot coverage, whatever, you're really saying, gosh, is this really an appropriate use for this property?
What would alternative uses be?
I think we have
Well,
to
that-
consider that. But you don't know in the future what might come along. I'm not suggesting that this is, that we shouldn't act on the variances. I'm simply saying, consider it, because we don't usually have someone who comes and says, I need a variance for every single thing that relates to lot coverage.
It does seem kind of dictated by the circumstances of the
Yes,
property.
it does.
But,
I agree with that.
I mean, as far as reasonable use,
Right.
what other,
Yeah.
what other use would there be?
Well, you never know, do you? It used to be a telephone office.
I was told it was storage for the phone company, is that
Something
right?
like that, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but I thought we closed the floor.
I don't know what is, what it would, what it would need to do in the future, but in the past, they had a generator there, and they also had, you can see those louvers on the, right next to the left of the garage door, and that was for venting the generator. And then there seemed to be a bunch of storage in there, and I'd imagine at some point maybe they kept a few trucks in there too. So, conceivably somebody could have a warehouse uptown, but then I don't know if under that circumstance, do you
An
get
accessory
nice
building.
windows and balconies and plant boxes and all the rest of the stuff? So, I mean, we hope we're making it nicer. And I think you'd have and you know the code, I don't know the code that well, but I mean, like if you turn into an office building, I guess you could kind of do that, but then you probably have other
Sure.
requirements for that. So, this is one that economically and functionally works.
All right, thank you.
Well, because we don't consider monetary values, we
Yeah.
could turn it into green space. Give me a break here.
I don't think anybody's going to knock down a building to have a little
Well,
green
I'm
space
just saying that,
right
but
there in that widow
you never,
place.
and we're talking about in the future what could happen, right? So,
I don't really like to talk about in the future what could happen, because we really don't
We
know.
don't
So you're
know.
just speculating.
but the
You're just saying.
possibility exists that some of those apartments along Congress Street would be
Turn to green space, I doubt it.
No, reuse for maybe professional residents, and then you would have like something out back that would be more aesthetic. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there
Yeah,
because you're
okay.
saying nothing, and there is something, right?
Well,
Okay, absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest.
Well, I guess I that's
You were concerned about
Yes, I
that
am
part.
very concerned about that, and I realize that the idea in the comprehensive plan was to infill, but I think it's difficult to see that in this space because of the adjacent property and those balconies, and that there's going to be a wall 5 feet from them, and I think that's I think that's a detriment. I don't think that was the intent. The intent was to
Yeah.
infill, but not to, because we're dealing with such an awkward space. it's like piecemeal and it's not fitting in right. There could be another way to do this, and I don't know what that would be because I'm not the architect, but some other thoughtful process so that not only new construction there, new development, new residential units, but the ones that already exist can actually have the adjacent properties. There would not be any spatial detriment.
Okay. We don't have anyone coming
Well,
opposing that right now.
I would think, I'm new at this. This is only my second meeting. So normally would that, an apartment, somebody who's going to be impacted by this negatively, would they normally come and speak?
Yes, they would be
Yes.
here, yeah. And they have
they
been
know
notified,
that.
so you don't have
Well,
anyone.
they don't always come,
Yeah.
but sometimes they come, right. So we didn't have anybody here saying, yes, they think it's a great idea, and we didn't have anybody here saying no.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
By the way, for the audience, I want to mention that there was nobody else in here to speak on behalf or opposite to the proposal. Okay, and the last one, any other comments on detriment?
I just wonder what our obligation is to consider the possible detriment if the property owner himself or herself doesn't come in to protect, the integrity of the property.
Anybody aggrieved by the decision of the board
That's
has
true.
20 days to appeal it.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. That sounds good.
Not of a general nature.
It's not of a general nature.
Okay, we all agree?
Right, not of a general nature.
Any final discussion? Betty?
No, I think I've voiced my concerns, and again, I see this as something that will provide a house for 18 kids. And it's not being used now. It is ugly. I don't think I would want to live there if I were 18 because it's too crowded in. But I'm just bringing these things up so that we can look at them and say, thought about the balconies, have you thought about the access? And I guess we have. Okay.
I would just make one small comment, that an R3 is designed primarily for multifamily dwellings or multi-person dwellings.
That's true.
Apartment houses and multifamily residences. Also provides for parking as a principal use, and that's, to me, this is what that does. It is in keeping with what an R3 zone is supposed to be. And I wish it were 1,000 or 10,000 square feet, and I wish it had all these other things, but it doesn't. It's a lot that's basically 30 by 90.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point.
Well, Betty, thank you for your comment. Now, yes or no?
Given
Alphabetically.
the circumstances, we've never done
We
it
haven't
that way.
done it.
We can
But
change
that's-
the,
that- but
we can
that's-
change the rules later.
Okay, but we're not...
Tonight, we haven't changed it yet.
Okay.
Betty starts with the B, so.
So, given the circumstances, I'm going to vote yes.
Okay. Carson, next. C.
I vote yes.
K.
Yes.
Jay?
Joe.
Jay was before K.
Well, I go by the last name first.
I'm voting no.
And I will vote no as well. But you have your variance.
I'll be looking for those flower boxes and those cute little trees.
She'll go check on the flowers.
I have a question about flower boxes, but maybe I should wait till we're off the air.
Okay, we have just a couple of, just one item left, the position of minutes from March 11, 2014.
I was not here, I can't help you.
I move that we approve the minutes from March.
I second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we voted anyway this time. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
All in favor?
Okay,
Aye. Okay.
okay. Well,
Thank you all.